All right, Saints fans and Houdads from all over the world. This is Kyle T. MOSLEY here with the Bayou Blitz, and we have a great show in store for you guys tonight. We are going to do an NFC South Roundtable with some of Sports Illustrated's leaders and professionals and those guys. But before I introduce our motley crew, I will go ahead and talk a little bit about some breaking news as well. But let's introduce my co-host, Mr. Bob Rose. What's happening, Bob?
Not much, Kyle, and you're right. We do have an exciting motley crew. Steel cage match between NFC South riders tonight. So we're looking forward to doing this at least a few times this season. But listen, everybody that's tuning in tonight, I hope you and your families are all doing well. I hope everybody in the Gulf Coast region has remained and stayed safe from the aftermath of Hurricane Laura. And I know that we, Kyle and I haven't been on in a couple weeks, but you have all been in our thoughts and our prayers. And we're ready to get this season started. Yeah, let's get it started, guys. Before we get it started, I would like to go around and introduce our crew for tonight. And right next to Bob, you will see this gentleman. He goes by Clark Kent as well for the Falcon Report on Sports Illustrated, but it's no more better young man that's one of the better writers in our network, and that's Mr. Jeremy Johnson. What's going on, Jeremy?
Nothing much, y'all. I'm happy to be here. Thank y'all for having me on. Excited to talk a little football for once, Everything that's going on. It's good to talk about ball, Let's
talk about some ball. Exactly, man. And we have Mr. William Brandon. Man, this guy breaks down. He's one of the best analysts they have at the Falcon Report. We had two guys from the Falcon Report. I'll let you guys know why a little bit later. But William, welcome aboard, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be behind enemy lines to come give some Falcon take today. So I'm glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me on, guys.
Yeah. Well, with the Falcons, guys, we need one guy to hold the other guy up after we beat them down. So that's why I invited both of those guys on, so they need some moral support. All right. And we have from the All Panthers site on Sports Illustrated and one of the top publishers for the Sports Illustrated team sites, and that's Mr. Schuyler CALLIHAN. What's going on, Schuyler?
Doing great, Kyle. Glad to be here. And like we were talking before the show, it's good to be able to talk actual football with you guys, and hopefully we can get this season fully completed before any craziness happens, because it has been 2020, so you don't know what's coming next.
Never know what's going to happen each day, each second, especially in this sports world currently today. And we got some breaking news. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I think this man coming up, Mr. Gene from Buck What You Heard. Gene, first of all, thank you for being here. How you doing, man?
Man, thank you guys so much for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm just really excited. You guys are some heavy hitters, and just to be on with you guys and, the work that you guys do, it's greatly appreciated.
Well, I may be a little bit heavy, Gene, but I'm not sure about the hitter part. But but anyway, man, look, we got some breaking news out of Tampa Bay. Tell us a little bit about what's happening.
It looks like Leonard Fournette is getting ready to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow. Nola Boy from St. Augustine High School in New Orleans, as well as LSU product, just was let go by the Jacksonville Jaguars, is now going to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, that should be pretty good for you guys. I don't know if it's going to help the team, but we shall see what's going to happen, right? So, guys, if you guys have any question about what's going on within the NFC South, you guys would like to even join the broadcast, we're going to have some of you guys to be able to come on. If you are interested in doing so, just hit me up in the link, and we could be able to do that as well. Also, we're going to go around and talk a little bit about the team, the offenses, defenses, coaching, and as well as the predictions that these guys have for the year. And we're going to have some fun as well. All right. So let's start you guys off with Jeremy. Let's talk a little bit about the Atlanta Falcons. Give us a brief preview of what to expect from the Falcons in 2020?
Well, I think there'll be a lot of what you've seen the last couple of years, especially defensively. I think they've gotten more athletic defensively, and obviously the offense will be the offense as long as Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are healthy. I feel like if they can keep Matt Ryan upright, he'll have a year that's comparable to what he did in 2016. But I wouldn't, as he's starting to age, I wouldn't expect him to be the guy to carry the load for the Falcons. They're going to have to be more balanced, and I think they will be going into 2020.
Okay. All right. So pretty much we're not going to expect many more than what we have seen before from the Falcons, right?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't want to get too deep into my predictions, but, I think they'll be a couple games better than they were last year. I think they'll be a playoff team, but I don't know if Super Bowl or bust is the right expectation for the Falcons to have this year.
Okay. All right. Good. William, you heard your cohort there. What are some of your quick takes about the Falcons and previewing those guys for 2020?
Well, first off, I'm not all doom and gloom. I have a little more optimism than my partner, Jeremy. I feel like the Falcons possibly on their way back up with the additions that they made on offense, also on defense, the rookie draft class. I think with that being said, along with what the pressure is mounting on head coach and key people in the organization, I think the Falcons will improve on how they played last year. And I'll get into more of that in a little bit.
Okay, good. And Schuyler, talk a little bit about the Carolina Panthers. You guys let former number 1 draft choice and as well as the face of the franchise, Cam Newton, go, and you guys stole Teddy Bridgewater from the New Orleans Saints. Tell us how you guys in Carolina feel about what's going to happen in 2020.
Well, from on my end, I'm a little optimistic, actually. I think there's a lot of young pieces that they can build around. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and obviously that defense is really, really young. Fan base, on the other hand, doesn't see any positives coming out of anything that happened this offseason. I mean, anytime you lose a guy like Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly to retirement, Greg Olsen, I mean, the list just goes on and on. So it's definitely a lot of attrition that has happened this past year. But I think the Panthers are going to be a little bit better than what most people outside of Carolina think. I think they're going to be able to come up and sneak up on some teams. I don't think they're a playoff team by any means, but there's a lot of excitement brewing around Carolina with Matt Rule being the new head coach, and it seems like there's a high buy-in factor with the roster too.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for your roster, man. I think you guys have some good young talent there, and of course, I love Teddy Bridgewater, man. So now, Gene, man, you guys are trying to stack everything that you guys can to be able to compete with the New Orleans Saints. You guys brought in old aging Super Bowl champion Mr. Tom Brady to the fold, as well as y'all let Gronk take some T-cells and try to help him out to be able to regenerate some of those old broken bones. Tell us how you feel about what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 2020.
The vibe is really exciting right now. When you look at what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done over the past decade, and you see what they've kind of assembled, from last year going into this year, they were able to bring back the majority of their defense, with the exception of Carl Nassib, who ended up with the Oakland Raiders. It's exciting to see what they've accomplished, and the core of your players, Devin White, Levante David, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh, the majority of these players have played in the system for a year. So they have a year under Todd Bowles' system under their belt. So I'm excited for that. And we've seen where they've continuously had drop-offs, and they've not hit on all their free agents. And, they've had issues with injuries and issues with draft picks as well. So this is probably as solid a core as I've seen the Buccaneers have in quite a while. And, when you talk about Tom Brady's accuracy, his precision, his decision-making, just ability to read defenses, it's an upgrade from what the Bucs have been working with over the past 5 years. And this is not, I am a huge Jameis Winston fan. I have been a fan of his since Florida State. But at the end of the day, it's all about wins and losses. And I really believe that when you have upgraded by bringing a Tom Brady in there. I mean, you take away from athleticism, but you still have a guy that can get the ball out in 1 to 2 seconds, like a Drew Brees. So I think you may lose something in one way, but you kind of gain it back in another. And then you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, OJ Howard, Cameron Brate, and some of your other players, Ronald Jones, that will benefit from having a veteran quarterback like a Tom Brady. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. Look, I was super excited when I saw this video of the Tom. Yes. Man, Tom Brady was running. I could not believe that, Bob. Did you see that? He
looked like Michael Vick.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, exactly, man. All right, Bob, tell us a little bit about the New Orleans Saints. You have Drew Brees returning for his 15th season for the Saints, as well as his let's say 20th overall, right? Tell us what your thoughts about the Saints and what the team will do for 2020.
The Saints, as we've talked about many times on this show, the Saints focused on keeping their talented core intact this offseason. And why wouldn't they? I mean, the team has gone 37-11 the last 3 regular seasons. And although obviously 3 playoff shortcomings, they are still at the top of the heap of Super Bowl favorites. And they did a spectacular job of keeping that core intact and adding to it. Probably the biggest offseason addition for this team was the addition of free agent wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. Now, Sanders obviously is not a number 1 wideout, but the New Orleans doesn't need that. They need a solid complementary threat, a bona fide threat, a number 2 wide receiver to go along with Michael Thomas to kind of spread that opposing coverages out, especially when they do face teams with a talented secondary. And Sanders is going to give them exactly that. Defensively, they brought in Malcolm Jenkins. Jenkins is still playing at a high level, even in his advanced NFL years. And he's going to bring a lot of leadership and experience to that secondary, which I think is going to be vital. Listen, we know Marshawn Lattimore, Janoris Jenkins, Marcus Williams, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They're all extremely talented. But they have shown a recent history of not playing well in the playoffs. Malcolm Jenkins is just the type of locker room presence, huddle presence, to get them over that hump. And I think that's where is key. Other than that, you're looking at health has got to be the issue for the New Orleans Saints, particularly players like Alex Anzalone, Marcus Davenport, Andrus Peat on the offensive side. 3 guys that have been shown star potential, but have not been able to stay on the field. The Saints are extremely deep at most positions, but they need their best players on the field to compete with what we expect to be an extremely improved NFC South division, as well as the juggernaut of the NFC Conference. Brees, I know people question his arm strength, but they have since his second year in the league. The man is still one of the most accurate quarterback in NFL history, and he can get the ball anywhere he needs to on the field. And all he knows at this stage of his career, all he needs to do is get it in the hands of playmakers like Michael Thomas, Sanders, Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara. And they have, the Saints have the offensive line up front to give him the time to do that and find the open target. And when Brees has time, there is no disrespect to Tom Brady down in Tampa, but there's nobody better at finding the open target than Drew Brees when the game is on the line.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, let's look at the NFC South and let's go around to you guys talking about the quarterbacks. So if you look at all 4 of these quarterbacks leading their teams, it's an arms race, right? And I think when you look at what is happening down in Atlanta, Matty Ice, I believe he is on the verge of a Hall of Fame type of career. How do you feel about him, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, I mean, I believe he's a Hall of Famer. Whether he wins the Super Bowl or not, I don't believe he's a first ballot Hall of Famer right now. If he'd have a ring right now, I think if he had a Super Bowl ring right now, I think a lot of people would respect Matt Ryan a lot more around the nation. I feel like he's been one of the better quarterbacks, for the last decade. And he's been top 4, top 5, just as far as his accuracy, his ability to deliver the football on time, and his knowledge of any system he's been in. I think he'll be unfairly criticized because I feel like first of all, I don't think he's dropped off. I feel like the competition level around him has increased, not only in the NFC South, but I also believe the level of play we're seeing in the NFL right now at the quarterback position is probably some of the best quarterback play we've seen in the league's history. I mean, you've got so many different types of quarterbacks that it makes a guy like Matt Ryan look like a dinosaur. When you think about he's the guy that, he has to drop back and he has to be protected or he's not going to be successful. That's just the way the position was played 15 years ago. When you compare that to Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to get the younger generation is going to be like, well, Matt Ryan's not, he's not cutting it and we need something new. But in reality, I think he's had a great career in Atlanta. I think he's been great for the franchise. He's helped change the culture in Atlanta. Before Matt Ryan ever showed up in Atlanta, losing was the norm. Even with Michael Vick, they had 2 years, maybe 3 years where they were really contenders. And I think a lot of people kind of gloss over that because Michael Vick was so loved in the city of Atlanta.
Okay. William, I'll come back to you. Schuyler, what are your thoughts about Teddy?
I love Teddy. I think he's getting his shot to run a team again. And I think there's a lot of question marks that surround him. There's a lot of uncertainties. Can he be a guy that propels the Panthers back to their winning ways? I mean, I don't think he's going to be Cam Newton-esque. I don't think he's going to be asked to be that type of guy. But when you got the skill set guys that they have in their arsenal, and we already mentioned those guys, and then you bring in Robbie Anderson, and he just is a guy that's going to be able to take the top off of defenses. I think it's really going to be a perfect fit, really, for Teddy. And you guys know Teddy better than pretty much anybody on this call that, he's a winner. He's been a winner everywhere he's been, and I don't expect that to change just because he's in Carolina. I think you're going to see this team probably win a couple of games they probably shouldn't, and then by year 2, year 3 with Teddy Bridgewater, you're going to see them get back into maybe an 8-8, 9-7 type of record, and they'll be in that neighborhood. There's no doubt in my mind. Again, like you guys said about Drew Brees, everyone questions Teddy Bridgewater's arm strength. He doesn't throw the ball down the field a ton, but he can. And he's got guys that'll outrun people. He's got guys that he can slice and dice you with in the underneath game and the intermediate passing game. And he's also got a guy like Christian McCaffrey he can turn the ball or turn around and hand the ball to. So I think he's set up pretty good right down here in Charlotte.
Yeah, I kind of concur, man. Teddy is one of those guys that in the 5 games when he took over for Drew Brees, Bob, he really did an outstanding job. What's your assessment, Bob, of where Drew Brees is right now? I know you went into a little bit, but Drew is aging, man, and you can see some of the rust. You can see some to him. What are your feelings, really?
Well, listen, we know obviously that Brees missed the 5 games that he did last year with the thumb injury. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think that helped him down the stretch of the regular season, because what I saw out of Drew Brees in 2017 and especially in 2018, he just looked like a tired quarterback down the stretch. And this is from a Saints offense that doesn't now have to rely on him to throw for 400 yards a game just to have a chance at winning. So I think what we're going to see out of New Orleans this year, they're going to continue to be more reliant on the run game. Now, that doesn't mean that Sean Payton is going to go run heavy by any stretch, because he is, after all, Sean Payton, and he has those gorgeous weapons to throw to his pass targets. But I do think that they're going to limit Brees when they can to try to get, because he has a 41-year-old arm. And I know at 41 years old, I was pretty tired, let alone nowadays. So I do think that if the Saints start to blow someone out, and they're way ahead, like 3 or 4 scores going into the fourth quarter. I think that we're going to see a quicker hook for Breeze than we have in the past, just to get him off the field and get him a little bit of rest. Next to Emmanuel Sanders and the rookie tight end Adam Troutman, Breeze and his targets all know each other extremely well, so he doesn't need the practice reps that he did in the past. So even though Breeze is a creature of habit and he has a certain repetition that he needs and is always talked about being important to him, I think that Sean is going to try to have him take a back seat, not only to rest Breeze for so he's stronger down the stretch, but to also see what Jameis Winston is capable of doing in this offense, something that we don't get the pleasure of seeing during the preseason. So this has a two-pronged effect by trying to limit Breeze's workload as they go through the course of the season.
Good stuff, man. Gene, let me turn to you. And I kid about Tom Brady, but it's no kidding about his talent. There's no kidding about what he has accomplished on the field as a quarterback. What are your quick thoughts about Mr. Brady as well as what he can do for this offense?
I'm really excited about taking care of the ball. I mean, turnovers were regardless of how you look at it, turnovers were a huge factor last year. Putting your defense in a bad position on short end of the field. There just were a lot of things that happen. I think when you have a quarterback that makes good decisions, he can read defenses, pre-snap reads, just being able to, be that field general and get the ball out to his weapons and put the ball in a place, just like Drew Brees, putting the ball in a place where they can catch it and put them in a position to score. It's exciting to see that. That's something that we haven't had on a consistent basis. So it's good to have him here. I do want to jump in and say this. To every single quarterback in the NFC South, they have it from the neck up, whether it's Teddy Bridgewater, whether you're talking about Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, everybody's got it from the neck up. And that's what makes this competition really exciting this year, is because these quarterbacks are all pretty even. I mean, and I know people, Matt Ryan doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, he threw for 4,466 yards with 26 touchdowns and only 14 interceptions last year. Nobody talks about that because of all the other things that were going on, but he's consistently been over 4,000 yards since 2010, I believe. So this is a guy that, he's got it from the neck up. And you look at Teddy Bridgewater coming back from a catastrophic injury the way he has and put himself back in a position of being a starting quarterback. You've got to have it that way. So all these quarterbacks are really in a good position, and this is going to be a very competitive division. I think probably the most competitive division in the NFL.
Yeah. And I'm glad you stated about the stats, man. I think all of these quarterbacks can be probably first time in many years to have quarterbacks to go over 4,800 yards each on each of these teams, man, in one division. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen. William, I left you last, man, because I want to get your assessment in ranking these guys. How do you feel about the ranking? If you had to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, who do you put at number 4, 3, 2, 1? Let's go in reverse order.
All right. So I'm going to make this quick for everybody at home and everybody watching. It's not going to be that hard. Unfortunately, the former Saint, now Carolina Panther, Teddy Bridgewater, 4th. 3rd, Tom Brady. Yes, I said it. Tom Brady at 3rd. I know there's a lot of flack about that, but I just feel like I've got to see him in a different system to actually put him above Matt or Drew Brees. So that brings me down to the final 2 guys, Matt and Drew Brees. The home Remy, I want to put Matt Ryan up there, and at the same time, I want to give Drew Brees his proper due. But as Bob was saying, I kind of feel like last year after the thumb injury, he kind of looked different in my eyes. So I can't put Drew Brees at 1. He's going to be 2, and Matt Ryan actually number 1. So go ahead and send me hate mail. You can get my email from Kyle if you need it.
I'm just the moderator tonight, fellas. So anybody disagree with Mr. Brandon?
I disagree.
Okay.
And look, all due respect to Matt Ryan, and I agree with both you gentlemen. I do believe that Matt Ryan, at the end of the day, is going to be a Hall of Famer, even if he retired today. He's got his place in Canton sewn up. You got to do a little bit more to be a first ballot. But Breeze, man, you're right, William. He did look different when he came back from the thumb injury, and he even admitted himself that he had to learn to grip the football a little bit differently. And his release was obviously affected, especially in those first few games. And I do wonder, and we all wondered actually, whether he took a shot to that thumb in the last couple games of the season, because he did not look sharp at all against Minnesota. And there's something to be said for that. Plus, he is, again, 41 years old. We know the kind of drop-off that Brett Favre had, that Peyton Manning had, and it happened just like that. So we're all kind of waiting on the edge of our seats to see if that happens with Drew Brees. There's no timetable on when it could happen until it does indeed start. But I would agree with you. I do agree with your order. No disrespect to Teddy, but I think that in this juggernaut of the four starting quarterbacks in the division, Teddy's got to come in fourth. Tom, I agree. You can't argue with what he's done. But in Arians' type of offense, what's Arians going to do to Taylor Brady? What's Brady going to do to Taylor to Arians? And how is that going to fit with all those new receivers and everything like that? So the top two quarterbacks are definitely Brees and Ryan. I just disagree with the order. That's all.
Okay. Skyler, I want to hear your take, my friend.
Yeah, I would. As much as I hate to say it, I got to put Teddy at number 4. I mean, there's just so many question marks. Like we said, he's not as proven as the 3 guys above him. Number 3, I would actually probably go. Yeah, I'm probably going to go Tom Brady there too. He's getting older. He's not the same quarterback that he was even 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago. He's still an elite quarterback, no doubt in my mind. But is he even a top 5 quarterback in the league nowadays? I mean, you got so many guys that are just maybe more talented than he is. So I'm going to go Tom Brady, number 3. I would say number 2, this is a toss-up for me. I'm going to go Matt Ryan 2 and Drew Brees 1. And it's really splitting hairs at that point at the top 2.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it, guys? I mean, let's be honest. Right now you have a guy that's a little bit younger, still a premier quarterback, in my opinion. I don't want to – I know I give Matt Iceberg some hate all the time, but I really do believe that when he chokes against the Saints, it's for a good reason he does that. But, Gene, let's hear your thoughts, man.
I don't know. I would have to put Tom Brady at number 2. Drew Brees has proven what he can do. I mean, he's that guy. And he's been that guy in the NFC South for the last few years. When I look at Tom Brady and I look at the cast around him, the number of injuries they had, and he still threw for 4,000 yards and he had like 24 touchdowns with the New England Patriots. Coming in here, I don't think Tom Brady would have come to Tampa if he would have been pigeonholed into a certain kind of offense. I believe this is something that they are all working on together. And I believe that with his skill set and the weapons that he has, and Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, who's 100% healthy, so on and so on, I believe that he'll benefit from having those kind of weapons in front of him. And I just, like I said, I think that, he will be that guy, that number 2 guy. But, proven what he can do is Drew Brees. And I'm not taking anything away from Matt Ryan. As much as I hate Atlanta, I have to give the devil his due. The guy has been consistent in what he's done since 2010. And, I could see why you would put him in number 2. So I don't have a problem with that. But, Tom Brady still has to go out and prove what he can do.
Okay. Good stuff. I'm sorry?
I thought this was a round table, not a gang up on the Falcons today.
No, I'm giving respect.
They brought us here to beat us down.
When it comes to football, I'll give love, man. I mean, Matt Ryan is who he is. I'll give the devil his due. He's the guy.
See, I told you that's why I have 2 guys on for prop one and another up. All right, so let's go to you, Jeremy. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the premier players. If you had to list 3 of the top players other than the quarterback. Let's take the quarterback out of the equation. 3 top players for the Atlanta Falcons. Who will those players be?
I'm going to say obviously Julio Jones. I almost disqualify him just because he's been so great for so long. And I think he'll still be great. You know, his age kind of scares me a little bit. And, you know, when he goes up for jump balls and he comes down and he gets up slow, I kind of, you know, look, is this the time where he's not going to get up? Or so, you know, Julio's great. He's obviously one of the main guys. Deion Jones probably, I don't know why he's not talked about, but he's probably the best linebacker, best middle linebacker in the NFL. I don't know why he's not talked about. But yeah, him. And then you have, you know, Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett's, I wouldn't say a poor man's Aaron Donald, but he's very similar and just doesn't get talked about as much. I mean, I know he's not as dominant. He doesn't have the stats. He doesn't have the explosiveness and the exciting nature to his game that Aaron Donald has. But Grady Jarrett's every bit of an elite defensive tackle that Aaron Donald is. So those would be my 3 guys that would be, you know, if I'm looking out on the field on a Sunday and the Falcons are winning, those 3 guys are playing well.
Okay, so you're not looking out on the field that much because you say winning. So Gene, who are your top 3 for the Bucs?
Offense and defense, or what are we talking here?
Yeah, just top 3 other than the quarterback. We're not talking about the quarterbacks.
I would go Vita Vea, Devin White, and probably Mike Evans.
Huh. Okay. You think Vea is going to be that dominant this year?
He's a run stopper, and that's what the Bucs have been missing. You guys all know. You guys have been able to run ad nauseum on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for years, up until last year when you saw a difference. And you had a 100% healthy Vita Vea in there, along with Ndamukong Suh, and then you have Shaq Barrett on the edge, and then JPP coming in from injury in October. So they were all able to come together. The Bucs were able to bring that group back again, and you know, they were able to stop the run. I think they were pretty high up last year. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I thought they did good against the run, and I thought that was very beneficial. So Vita Vea is a huge part of that. I know a lot of Bucs fans wanted Derwin James, but when you're building a defense, you have to build it from the front to the back, because getting pressure on the quarterback is ideal in helping the secondary, because you have to get the ball out faster, you know, that kind of thing. So I think grabbing Vita Vea where they did, he's an athletic freak, and I think that he causes problems for defenses just because of what he does.
Yeah, he's a big man. I can tell you that much. Boy, he's strong. Schuyler, man, what are your thoughts about the Panthers? Man, and you guys got a couple of LSU guys on tap, don't you?
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, Dante Jackson's a guy that's really looking forward to taking that next step this year. The question is, can he really be a number 1 corner? There's been times where he just got flat out beat, and that should never be the case with the speed that he has. He's one of the fastest corners in the game. Sometimes I think he just relies on his speed too much and doesn't get physical over the middle of the field and maybe even deep down the field. But I'll give you 3 guys outside of Christian McCaffrey because we all know about his ability. First off, I'll go with DJ Moore at wide receiver. He had a breakout season last year. When you look at his stats, had over 1,000 yards and over 70-some catches. And again, keep in mind, his 2 quarterbacks for the majority of last year were Kyle Allen and Will Grier, 2 guys that are not quite ready for a full-time starting role, and that's the numbers he put up. Imagine what he's going to be able to do in this Joe Brady offense with Teddy Bridgewater as the signal caller. It's going to be an absolutely huge season for DJ Moore, and especially with Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson being able to take away some of that attention. And then I flip over to the defensive side for the other 2 guys, and I'm going to start up front because, like Vita Vea at Tampa Bay, Kawan Short is probably the most vital piece of this Panthers defense, because when you look at how bad they were against the run last year, I mean, it was abysmal. They were one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, and a big part of that was because KK Short was not in the lineup. So having him back, having Derek Brown in the lineup as well, the first-round pick out of Auburn is going to be a big plus up front. And the third guy I'm going to go to is Shaq Thompson. He's a guy that has star ability. I think he could emerge as into one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL. He's got that type of talent, but he's got to take that next step. Now that Luke Kuechly's gone, can he fill in in that role that Luke Kuechly did? He was not just a leader in the stat sheet, but on the field as well.
Yeah. Those are some very talented young men that you just talked about. Mr. Rose, man, the New Orleans Saints, people say they have a plethora of talent at Metairie Drive. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with the New Orleans Saints.
In my opinion, with the Saints, that you could go 5 or 6 deep as far as among the best players at their respective positions in the NFL. But as far as the best on the Saints, you got to start with Michael Thomas. And like you gentlemen said, with Mike Evans and Julio Jones and Christian McCaffrey, you almost take Michael Thomas for granted, and he is in a category by himself, like those other players, for your respective franchises. So yeah, certainly Michael Thomas. And then you got to look at Ryan Ramczyk. I realize Ryan Ramczyk was an All-Pro last year. He still doesn't get his due diligence throughout the league for how good this young man really is. He, in my opinion, is not only the best offensive tackle in the NFL, I would take him over any offensive lineman in the NFL. And he is still, I'm not going to say learning the position, but he has not hit his peak yet. Ramczyk just will swallow up opposing pass rushers and make them disappear from the stat sheet and from relevance in a football game. And you can't ask for anything more from an offensive lineman. And then you want to go over to the defensive side. Man, it's tough choice between, just like it was tough to leave Alvin Kamara off of the offensive side. It's awfully tough for me to leave Cam Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore, whose importance to the defense is just immense. But Demario Davis, he has been an underrated performer since the moment he stepped into a Saints uniform. And last year, he really hit his stride. Now, listen, we talk about how the quarterback talent in the NFC South. What about the linebacker talent in the middle? You're talking about Demario Davis, Deion Jones, who I'm a huge fan of, Shaq Thompson, who I like a lot, and, of course, Devin White in Tampa Bay. Demario Davis is at least as good as every single one of them, and his importance to the Saints defense cannot be understated. When he signed that contract with New Orleans in 2018, he took this defense to the next level with athleticism at the linebacker position that we haven't seen since, I dare say, the Dome Patrol days.
Yeah. I mean, Demario Davis is a outstanding guy, all-pro. He's a good human being as well, and a good statement for the National Football League. William, let's go a different route, man, and we're getting kind of short on time, so I want to get your quick thoughts on the top wide receivers. No ranking, but the top, let's say, 3 wide receivers in the NFC South. Can't hear you, William.
All right, I apologize. No
Okay.
particular order: Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, and Mike Evans. Now, I want to use this little bit of time to bump up Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, I really feel like this year is going to take that extra step. You're looking at the Falcons to possibly have 2 wide receivers over 1,000 yards since Julio and Roddy White did it back in 2012. I really feel like Calvin Ridley has what it takes to get over 1,000 yards and over 10 touchdowns this season. So he's going to be up there right with the other 3 that I named.
Okay. Schuyler, your quick thoughts on the top wide receivers.
I got to agree with him. I mean, you can't get any better with those 3. And, I mean, you could put a whole, Pro Bowl team together with just NFC South receivers. But just like William did talking about Calvin Ridley, I'll talk about the Panthers receiving depth. I think they probably could have arguably the most depth at wide receiver in the division. I mean, you got Robbie Anderson, Samuel Moore, Seth Roberts, Keith Kirkwood, Pharaoh Cooper, Cam Phillips. They just signed out of the XFL. They've got a lot of guys at that position I think are going to be really good in the future. But I got to agree with those 3. You can't go wrong there.
Yeah, good guys, man. we have such good talent in the NFC South. I really am amazed at how I think this season, each general manager has done a very good job putting and collecting pieces, more than any other year prior. Gene, your quick thought on the top wide receivers.
Yeah, I have to go along with everybody else. Michael Thomas is amazing. He's a phenomenal player. Julio Jones, we all know what you get out of Julio Jones. And Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans has been playing at a high level since he was a rookie. He's gone through multiple quarterbacks. I mean, McCown, Mike Glennon, he's gone through Jameis Winston. And I'm sure I'm missing some other ones, but he's gone through all these different receivers or quarterbacks, and he's continually played at a high level. So he's somebody that I'm really excited about. Another player that you guys may not know about is Chris Godwin. Please be sure to look for Chris Godwin this year. I think you will see a lot of him. Tom Brady really likes him and what he's capable of doing. So he's another wide receiver that wasn't mentioned that you guys should definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah. Did you see that? That's Chris Godwin. And I'm pretty sure some of the safeties in this league are going to have some fits trying to cover him this season. He did a great job last season as well. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the NFC South defenses. Bob, let's start off with you. If we had to be able to rank those guys, what defense would be top to bottom?
Yeah, ranking each NFC South team defense?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I'm going to sound like a homer here, but I believe that from front to back, the New Orleans Saints have the best defense in the division. Again, you're talking about a pass rusher up front with Cam Jordan, a terror inside when he's healthy in Sheldon Rankins, and along with a couple of up-and-comers and Shai Tuttle and David Onyemata, and terrific run stopping with Malcolm Brown. You just got to keep Marcus Davenport healthy. Defensively, linebacker, I'm really excited to see what Zach Bond can do alongside Demario Davis and Anzalone. And that secondary is really young, but again, full of star power that's capable of shutting down the NFL's best wide receivers in Lattimore and company. After that, it's tough. I love what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have up in their front seven. And that's why I would put them as the number 2 defense. They have some playmakers at safety, the Buccaneers do. But those cornerbacks, man, they have been toast the last few years. So they have a lot to prove before that defense can take the next step. Now, it helps to get the opposing quarterback on the ground. And if Tampa's pieces stay healthy in that front seven, they can do exactly that. And pressure on a quarterback will make a secondary look better any time of day. After that, listen, I love Dante Jackson in Carolina, but I think the improvements that the Atlanta Falcons have made defensively, with the pieces that they added in the offseason. First of all, I love Grady Jarrett. I think he's an underrated defensive tackle, like you gentlemen had said before. And Deion Jones is a terrific linebacker. The Falcons safety and secondary has a lot to prove to me, but they've remained athletic in their linebacking core, and adding Dante Fowler to put pressure on a quarterback. Again, that pressure to put on opposing passers, that's going to improve the defense on the back end too, and you're going to see more plays from the Falcons secondary. Carolina, I love what they did defensively in the draft. A lot of unproven pieces, but Derek Brown and Gross Matos from Penn State, along with Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois, I think that they're real players. Without the benefit of an offseason, we're going to see a lot of rookies throughout the league get off to slow starts. But this defense is going to be, for Carolina, is going to be a lot better at the end of the season than it is the beginning. So I would put Carolina as the 4th-ranked defense in the NFC South, but that's no slight to them either. They have a lot of young talent there.
Okay. Any disagreements? Anybody want to challenge Bob?
Yeah, I disagree, but I think we have the same top. I think we have the same top. I don't like the middle. I think the Saints have the best defense. I don't think that's really much of an argument. And you were talking about Marcus Davenport. There's a young rookie that I really like that the Saints have named Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. I really think he can play, and I really think he'll help them. If Marcus Davenport goes through injuries again, he won't be getting his job back next year because Zach Bond can really play. But I feel like the Falcons defense will take the step up to the second best defense in the division. I feel like both of these defenses could have opportunity to be top 12 in the NFL this year. I know that sounds crazy today, but I really like the addition of Darqueze Dennard to play alongside AJ Terrell or Isaiah Oliver, however that shakes out. I think that's good competition. I think Dennard's an underrated guy that can really play. Deion Jones will be back. Grady Jarrett's back. But, guys like Marlon Davidson that they drafted, I really like Mykal Walker out of Fresno State. I really think he's going to be a surprise star this year. And I just feel like that secondary will be a lot better. So that along with the pass rush being better will give them opportunities to take the ball away. That's something they didn't do last year, and they did well in the years where they were contenders, was just take the football away. So that'll happen. And I think Carolina, I think they're the fourth best defense. I like Tampa Bay's defense because of what they have in the front with the linebacking core. I don't really see anything that compares to that in Carolina. So we don't have much of a difference. It's just our middles.
Okay, Gene, Skyler, any tweaks there for you guys? Are you guys okay?
I think it's pretty much the same. I mean, I agree with Jeremy. You got New Orleans here. You've got Atlanta right here. You got Tampa Bay here, and then you got 30 feet, and then you go to Carolina. I think that's just the biggest difference for the Panthers right now. They just have so many young guys, and their average age on their starting defense, I think, is like 24 or 25. It's very, very young, very inexperienced. There's a very big concern with the lack of depth that they have, and trying to get all these guys to get on the same page with a whole new defensive scheme in an offseason has just been absolute chaos. It just does not bode well for the folks on that side of the ball.
Okay, let's go through the top offense right quick. Let's start off with you, William. Then I would like to hear from you, Gene.
Okay, so am I ranking them or just the top offense?
Yes, ranked.
Okay, so man, that's a tough one. I don't want to be a homer. I guess I got to be like Bob. I'm going to go with Atlanta, with what they already had in place with Matt Ryan, Julio, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage. They replaced Hooper for Hayden Hurst. I feel like Hayden Hurst is a faster Hooper. Mm-hmm. We lost Freeman. We got Gurley. We don't really know yet. However, we might have a lot left in that shed. So with what we have on paper compared to the aging teams that they have on paper, I'm going to put Atlanta 1. I'll put Tampa 2, New Orleans 3, Carolina 4. Hate mail, please.
Ooh. Aging. Man, did you see that Golden Walker that we sent to Ty Gurley? I think you guys going to need that one. All right, Gene, what are your thoughts, my friend?
I'm since we're all being homers, I am a Bucs fan. Buck, what you heard. I've got Tampa number 1. I've got New Orleans number 2, and then I've got Atlanta number 3 and Carolina 4. But please don't take that the wrong way. I think Carolina is going to be a lot better than what people give them credit for. I think what they've done is they've addressed athleticism and on the defense and offensive side of the ball. And I think that's the philosophy of the head coach over there is athleticism. If they can get everybody to buy in, they're going to surprise a lot of teams this year. And don't be surprised if they are competitive throughout the season.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. Bob, any thoughts?
Who dat? I hate to come across like this on every kind of ranking. But listen, we're going to talk about I want to start with a position, the big uglies up front. The Saints have been bullies throughout the NFL in the last 3 seasons. And the reason for that is because of their powerful offensive line, that they can basically dictate what they want to do offensively to you. That has helped Breeze look like he's playing at a high level and in his advanced NFL years. And then when you sprinkle in the weapons like Kamara, Latavius Murray, Jared Cook, Thomas, of course, and Emmanuel Sanders, I can't go away from the Saints as my top offense. Number 2, I would go with Atlanta because we talked about the quarterbacks a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to belabor that point. I love what they have at wide receiver, between Ridley and Julio Jones. How are you going to double cover one without the other killing you? I agree that Hayden Hurst could be on the verge of a breakout. He's a more athletic version of Austin Hooper, and we know Hooper was a nightmare to contend with. And I expect the Falcons to be more solid up front than they have been in recent years as those young offensive linemen start to mature a little bit. And the Buccaneers, listen, you can call me the president of the New Orleans chapter of the Chris Godwin fan club, because I've always loved that young man. Mike Evans and what they have at the tight end position, there's no denying that. Now that they've added Fournette, they're going to certainly give Brady some balance. But the offensive line for Tampa Bay still has a lot to prove. Just ask Jameis Winston how much that offensive line hurt him over the past few years of his career. And while Brady is going to make that offensive line look better because of his quick release, I just think that Tampa is going to struggle up front a little bit more than what New Orleans and Atlanta will. And Carolina, again, just like on defense, they have too many new pieces. While you cannot deny the talent of Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, the other pieces have to come along. McCaffrey and Moore are going to put up their stats. No worries about that. But the rest of the offense has to mature and catch up with them as the season goes along.
Okay, good stuff, guys. We are counting down. So, Schuyler, I'm going to throw this at you, my friend. Tell me, who is the top coach in the NFC South?
Whew. Man, that's a tough one. I can't go Matt Rule here, obviously, because he's a new guy. Doesn't have too much of a history. Oh, man. You know what? I've always been a big Bruce Arians fan, and I know that he may not have the past that Sean Payton has or anything like that, but I like Bruce Arians, and I think that he's going to get Tom Brady another Super Bowl ring. I don't know if it's going to be in 2020, but maybe in 2021. So maybe that's just because I like Bruce Arians, and I've always followed everywhere where he's gone. He's an offensive genius. I'll go Bruce Arians, but I know Sean Payton should probably be the real answer.
Okay. William.
You're not going to like me for this one. I'm kidding. I got to go with Sean Payton, the number 1 head coach in the NFC South.
All right, man. Calling it real. All right, Gene, what about you, my friend?
This pains me to say this, but Sean Payton has proven what he can do. I mean,
okay.
since he arrived, he changed the culture of the New Orleans Saints for the better, and they've just been on a solid trajectory ever since then. He's a offensive genius, and he's just been very successful. I think it was a great marriage with him and Drew Brees, and I think the Saints as a whole have benefited from it.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, guys. And Jeremy, I can't leave you and Bob out, but Jeremy, hit me up. Who's the top coach?
It's Sean Payton. Sean Payton's a future Hall of Famer. He has changed, the entire way we think about the New Orleans Saints. So that's not even a discussion for me. I had to catch myself.
All right, guys, let's go through the predictions, and we're going to start with Eugene. We want to get your prediction for 2 things. 1, who's going to win the NFC South? 2, what's going to be the team record for your squad? So, Gene, go ahead.
Oh, wow. I see. I don't, you know what? I honestly, I rarely give, these kind of predictions. I was thinking like 12-4 is what I was kind of thinking, or somewhere 10-6, 12-4, somewhere off in there. Again, it's still it's all on paper right now. We have to see him go out and produce on the field. So again, I'm not sure, but I do have high expectations for this team. Making the playoffs, and I do believe that they are in the hunt for the NFC South as well.
Okay, good stuff. Schuyler.
I'm going to go 4-12 for the Panthers. It's just so much youth and a whole new coaching staff. It's asking a lot for them to even really be a near 500 team this year. So I really like the future. I think Matt Rule is the perfect hire for this job, and I think he's going to get things back in the right direction, but not this year. 4-12, and for the division winner, I'm going to go New Orleans. I think there's just so much explosiveness on that offensive side of the ball. Now, I know we've heard about the Alvin Kamara stuff in the last 24 to 48 hours, but even put that aside, I think this offense is tremendous. There's really no holes on the defense that I see, and I think that they're as good as they are. I think Atlanta is about this far behind, and I think Tampa Bay is kind of in that range where they're either going to be a definite third or they're going to really contend. So top three, you can really order them however you want, but I'm going to go with New Orleans.
New Orleans. All right. Let's see. Marjorie Linder said the Dirty Birds would go 11-5. Jeremy, do you agree?
That depends. Is Alvin Kamara going to actually play for the Saints this year?
Yes.
Yes, he is. Yes, he will.
Well,
don't let that crowd fool you, man. He will.
When I came on this show, I fully expected the Saints to sign Leonard Fournette and have for him and Alvin Kamara to be the 1-2 punch. So that kind of, shaped my prediction. I had the Saints at winning the division at 14-2 had they signed Fournette. I'm going to say 10-6 for the Falcons, and I think that the Saints win the division.
Okay. All right. William.
I have to disagree. With you, Jeremy. The Falcons are going to win the division at 11-5. They're going to split with Tampa. They're going to split with New Orleans. They're going to sweep Carolina. The other losses will come against Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers, and Minnesota Vikings. 11-5, Atlanta Falcons.
All right. And Mr. Rose.
Listen, Carolina is going to finish at the bottom of the division. I hope that the ownership gives Matt Rule a legitimate shot to build this into a contender because I love him as a coach. The NFC South is going to be a 3-team battle all year long between New Orleans, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay. There's going to be two playoff teams come out of the NFC South. New Orleans, I think, is going to finish with a 12-4 record. It just with COVID and everything going on, I think it's too much to ask any team to come in at a 14-2 or 15-1 record. So I can see the Saints winning the division at 12-4. And I love Eugene, I do, but I think there's too much of a drop off in Tom Brady's play. I think Atlanta takes the wild card spot, but Tampa Bay is going to be right there too. It would not surprise me if all three teams made the playoffs. But my prediction is going to be New Orleans wins the championship for a 4th year in a row, and Atlanta will return to the playoffs.
Okay. All right, William, I saw you waving over there, my friend. What's going on?
Oh, no, I was waving at Gene when he was talking about Tampa Bay. That's all.
Oh, my goodness. All right. All right.
At least I didn't get a one-finger wave. I've gotten those in the past, so I was thankful for that.
And that came from me, his co-host. So,
all right.
All right, guys. Look, it's been a great show tonight. I really do appreciate you guys being on. Gene, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Buck, what you heard is showing on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard on Twitter. You follow me, I will follow you back. It doesn't matter what team. My goal is to have followers from all 32 teams. 31 teams. And I love talking football. This is my time of the year right now. This is my Christmas. So I'm enjoying it.
All right, man, you do a good job, man. Keep up the great work. Schuyler, how can they find you on the World Wide Web?
Obviously, you guys can find me at sportsillustrated.com /Panthers. And on Twitter, you can find me at CALLIHAN_, and you can find the site's Twitter handle at SI_Panthers.
All right. Mr. William, how can they find you?
SI.com /the Falcon Report, as well as my YouTube page, The William Brandon, the same name for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, The William Brandon. And check me and my co-host out, my 2-year-old Dad and Demi, every Friday on the Falcon Report.
Matter of fact, that's who I really wanted on, but he wouldn't sign my contract. All right. So, Jeremy, how can they find you on the World Wide Web, my friend?
SI.com at the Falcon Report. My Twitter is Clark_Kent_75. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'll be.
And I'm so glad to see you, man. If you guys didn't know, Jeremy overcame COVID-19, so I'm glad to see you, my friend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be seen at this point. So.
There you go. All right, and Mr. Bob Rose, how can they find you?
Well, guys, first of all, thank you all of you for joining us tonight. I really do hope that we can do this, this cage match at least once a month through the season. It has been a blast, and I immensely respect all of you. As far as my work and myself, best way to follow my work is si.com and the Saints News Network. Individually, you can follow me at Bob Rose on Facebook or at BobbyR2613 on Twitter, as well as Kyle and my Bayou Blitz Facebook page. We stream all of our work through that. You get previews for the show, and you can live stream all of our shows through the Bayou Blitz Facebook page as well. And folks, even everybody that's tuning in tonight, thank you so much as well for your love and your support. We love you for it. And I don't care if you're a Saints fan or not. If you are, follow these 4 gentlemen on our panel. It will be well worth it. They do talk football with you, and they are extremely respectful. And just make sure we keep it respectful. Remember, we're not the ones putting on the helmets. It's all in good fun at the end of the day. But it is fun to talk football, and I'm so glad it's back.
Yeah, glad it's back. And glad the Saints are going to smack everybody down in the NFC South. But look, man, all seriousness, thank you, Gene. Thank you, Schuyler. Thank you, William. Thank you, Jeremy. And of course, Mr. Rose, thank you. Guys, you can follow the Saints News Network on si.com /NFL/Saints for the latest in New Orleans Saints news. You can check us out on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook at Saints News. I am Kyle T. Mosley from the Saints News Network, giving you the Bayou Blitz. Thank you, guys. This was a great NFC South forum, and we will continue to bring it to you throughout the rest of 2020. Take care. You guys have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.